Welcome to Semi-Pro Tech and Gear. In this video, we're going to take a look at the NuPhy Air96. Before we dive in, I want to mention that this video is not sponsored by anybody, and NuPhy did not send me this keyboard for review. I purchased it with my own money. Recently, I did an overview of NuPhy's Halo 96, the 96% high-profile keyboard, and I really enjoy using the Halo 96. As I said in that video, I'm pretty sure it is the best pre-built keyboard that I have ever used from just a enjoying it on a daily basis standpoint. So, can NuPhy repeat the same success with the low-profile Air 96? We're going to do the exact same overview that we did with the Halo 96. I'll give you all of the important specifications. We will, of course, do a typing test or sound test at the end of the video. And I'll also be doing a separate video where I compare the Air 96 to Keychron's current closest competitor, alliteration not intended, the K5 or the K5 SE. But let's dive in and talk about the details of the Air 96. This is, of course, a 96% ANSI layout with 100 keys. The case materials are aluminum top and ABS bottom. The dimensions are 14.7 inches long by 5.2 inches wide and 0.69 inches thick. I will, of course, share those dimensions in millimeters on the screen. The weight comes in at 1.46 pounds or 663 grams. And you do have 3 typing positions available thanks to the 2-position feet that have now become common on NuPhy's newer keyboards. They have the option to flip out a smaller set of feet or a larger set of feet, and the angles, I'll put those up on the screen so you can see the typing angles available. As always seems to be the case with NuPhy, they also provide some nice extras in the box. You've got your color matched USB-C to USB-A cable. You've got your keycap and switch puller. You've got a few extra keys here to provide some different color options for some of the main keys. You've got your 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver, and you've also got samples of the other switch options available in this keyboard, which I really appreciate, so that you can at least get a mini sample of what the other switches feel like in case you're not happy with the ones that you got in your keyboard. Connectivity comes in the same 3 forms that we've become accustomed to with NuPhy, and that would be, of course, wired via USB-C, as well as 2.4 gigahertz wireless and, of course, Bluetooth wireless. It can connect to up to 4 devices, and you've got a toggle switch on the keyboard to switch between wired and wireless operation. Switching between the different connections is very simple. All you need to do is hold down the function key, and then number 1 through 3 are the Bluetooth connections. You simply press and hold for 3 seconds to enable pairing mode, or quick press to change between the connections, and then function 4 will put it into the 2.4 gigahertz connection mode. The Air 96 is compatible with Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android, and there is a toggle switch where you can select Mac or Windows key layouts. There are a couple of ways in which the Air 96 differs from the Air 60 and Air 75. One of those ways is the feet that I already mentioned. The Air 60 and 75 do not have the flip-out feet. They have the NuPhy Air feet, which are magnet attached, and while interesting, personally for me, small detachable things around here usually just means it's something I'm probably going to lose. So I do like the attached 2-stage feet that are on the Air 96 better than those Air feet on the Air 75 and Air 60. But the other significant difference comes in the form of battery capacity. The Air 96 has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which is the same battery capacity found in the Halo series high-profile keyboards, whereas the Air 75 and Air 60 have a 2,500 milliamp hour battery. So NuPhy claims you can get anywhere from 25 to 50 hours of continuous use with RGBs enabled on the Air 96, or up to 300 hours of continuous use with none of the lights on. Now, of course, I would expect the battery life in practice to be longer than the Air 75, but I have not had a chance yet to put it in a head-to-head test for battery life in wireless mode. The colors that are available include the lunar gray color scheme that has been available on the Air 75 and Air 65, as well as the new ionic white color scheme that has been available on the Halo series since they started coming out. When it comes to the switch options, we're talking about Gatoron low-profile 2.0 switches, including red, brown, and blue, of course. But there are also 3 choices of NuPhy Gatoron collaboration switches: the Wisteria, the Daisy, and the Aloe. Both the Daisy and the Aloe are linear switches, while the Wisteria is a tactile switch. Now, I have used the V1 Gatoron Low Profile Brown, so I got the Gatoron Low Profile Brown 2.0s in the Air 96, but I also got some Wisteria switches, and I installed them in the Air 75 so that we can compare the sound in the sound test later. Now, one of the main differences between the generations of those switches is the total travel that's available. On the 2.0 low profile as well as the NuPhy collaboration switches, the total travel is 3.2 millimeters, whereas it was 2.5 millimeters on the Generation 1 low profile switches from Gateron. So in theory, that should improve the typing experience, make it just that tiny little bit more like a high profile typing experience with more travel. And I'll comment on that a little bit when we talk about my overall impression so far of the Air 96. The keycaps are still PBT double shot NSA profile. They're the same keycaps that you're used to if you have the Air 60 or the Air 75. They just come in this new color option for the ionic white color profile. Now, NuPhy did update the NuPhy console software so that you can remap the keys of the Air 96. It is still in beta version and it is only available for Windows. But that does, in theory anyway, make this a customizable low-profile mechanical keyboard so that your experience can be the same if you own, say, the Air 96 as well as the Halo 96 and use them in different scenarios. You're going to get the same overall experience, aside from the typing experience, of course. But more on that in a second. Let's talk about the RGBs and then we'll talk about my overall impressions of the Air 96 so far. In addition to the RGBs around all of the keys, you have these side RGBs, which are also status indicators. For example, the left RGB strip indicates the wireless connectivity status. It'll let you know when it's in pairing mode or when pairing has been successful. Cycling through the RGB options is simple and very similar to other NuPhy keyboards. Simply hold down the function key and use the left arrow to cycle through different RGB styles, and the right arrow to cycle through different RGB color options for each style. And holding down the function key while using the up or down arrows also controls the brightness level of the RGBs. Holding down the function and question mark key and then using the up or down will turn on or off the side RGB strips. I'll include some lower light footage of the RGBs as well so you can get a fuller appreciation for how they look. Personally, I think NuPhy executed the RGBs very well on the Air 96, and it almost gives the keys a floating look when the RGBs are in use. Now I just want to give you a few of my first impressions after using the Air 96 as my daily driver. I swapped it out with the Halo 96 for a few days with my work computer, and I also tried using it wirelessly with my laptop. As far as the layout goes and not having any space between the arrow keys, the main key area, and the numpad, my fingers just seem to have an easier time knowing where to go, especially with the numpad. I have no idea why that's the case, but I found it easy to adjust to the Air 96, even with this somewhat cramped layout. I want to point out one thing about the bezel, which is a little bit perplexing to me. Not about the Air 96, but really about the Air 75. If we look at the bezel around the outside of both of these keyboards, it's the same. The thickness of the bezel on the top, where it's the thickest, is the same on these two keyboards, and on the side, it's the same on these two keyboards. And yet, for some reason, when I look at the Air 75, I think that this bezel could be thinner. However, on the Air 96, I simply don't feel that way. When I look at it, I feel like the bezel is an appropriate size. Now, this could just be my brain playing tricks on me because it is not as long of a keyboard, but it looks wider to me than the Air 96. So all that to say, I think that the Air 96 looks like a nice compact package, especially considering it's a 96%. In case you were wondering, the front and the back are the exact same height between the 75 and the 96 when the feet are down or when the feet are not attached on the 75. Now, when it comes to typing experience, I have enjoyed using the Air 96 for the few days that I've been using it. Is it better than other low-profile mechanical keyboards I've used? I've used several low-profile products from Keychron. Of course, you've got all of your laptop keyboards, all of that kind of stuff. I've used Logitech low-profile keyboards, and I have to say that this probably is the best low-profile keyboard that I've used from a typing feel standpoint. Just for a really quick example, this is the Keychron K3 Pro. I actually have the same exact Gateron low profile 2.0 switches installed on here. And yes, these are NuPhy keycaps because I didn't like the Keychron keycaps. And for some reason, even though these are the same switches, I like the execution of the typing feel better on the Air 96 compared to the K3 Pro. But this is not a comparison video, so I'm not gonna go any further than that for now. I can't tell a gigantic difference from the older generation of low-profile Gateron switches to the 2.0s. If I really pay attention, I can tell there's a little bit more travel there, and overall, I think the typing feel is a little bit better. I have one minor complaint about the switches, and that is that I think the factory lube on them is a little bit light, which I guess isn't super surprising, but I was a little bit disappointed to find that a few individual keys on my Air 96 have a little bit of a scratchy feel. I think the A key is one of them, and also a little bit of that spring ping sound. Nothing wrong with the switches. They function perfectly. I didn't have any bad switches or anything like that. Really, my only other complaint here is still NuPhy console. And so this is the same exact concern I had with the Halo 96. If you're gonna spend over $100 on a keyboard because you want to truly customize it and remap the keys, this is not the best experience, at least not in its current state. The Air 96 as well as the Halo series are not compatible with VIA software. You can only do your remapping using NuPhy console, which is still in beta, and if you look up the user experience currently in March 2023 with NuPhy console, it's not that great. And also it's not available on Mac, which I find a little strange. And I find it strange because NuPhy ships their keyboards with Mac keycaps installed. NuPhy gives you your Mac keys on the keyboard out of the box, however, their remapping software doesn't work on Mac. So that's another thing I hope improves over time, and it certainly can because it is software. However, if you're looking for a low-profile keyboard that you just want to use it as it comes out of the box and not do any remapping, I do think the Air 96 is a pretty nice option. NuPhy is really killing it lately with their most recent keyboard releases. The Halo 96, as I mentioned, best pre-built keyboard I think I've ever used. Air 96, probably the best low-profile keyboard I've ever used, at least up to this point. So everybody else, take that as a challenge. That's going to do it for my overview of the Air 96. I hope this information was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if it was, or if you have any questions about the Air 96. If it was helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button so YouTube can show the video to more people. I will leave you now with the sound test, and I will be doing a sound test of the Gateron Low Profile 2.0 Browns that came in my Air 96, as well as the Wisteria switches, which I've installed in my Air 75, so that you can hear the difference between them.